Welcome everyone to It Tastes Different Gaming. Tonight we're going to talk about how s- how so fewer gamers are keeping the gaming industry afloat, or maybe that's why we're seeing so many layoffs and developers like canceling games. So make sure you hit that like, hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed, and we'll just get right into it. So let me go ahead and whip out this video for you, or this actual article for you guys. We ain't got no videos for you. This is the video. Well, let's go ahead and share out this article so we can all kind of read together. This comes from Tech for Gamers. It talks about over 60% of US gamers buy 2 or fewer games per year. Only 14% of gamers are keeping things going, according to this article. So it's got a couple of highlights. The new survey shows 33% of US gamers buy games less than once per year. Only 14% purchase games monthly or more, driving the paid gaming market. The majority of gamers, over 60%, are playing fewer new titles despite the growing game releases. So, what do we got? Gaming is a hobby for many and has become an essential part of their lives. However, no one can play every available game, which I would agree. Nick would agree too. His Steam library will probably attest to that. However, no one, however, with a huge number of titles already available and more being released each year, it becomes difficult for people to decide which game to play. As a result, gamers are buying fewer new games each year. I don't think that's as a result of, I think that's a result of games are too expensive. The economy is not where it should be. We know we've had major inflation over the last few years. People are doing worse off than they have this in the U.S. I can only speak for the U.S. I don't live in these other countries. I'm not familiar with their economies. I'm familiar with a few of them and things like that. But in the U.S., people are struggling. Middle class is shrinking, which is something you always hear. But I mean, in the last few years with inflation and stagnant wages and everything that's going on, they're just money. So I don't think it's because of the number of games, that people are buying less. I think it's because of the cost of games have gotten out of hand. The rampant greed in the gaming industry is getting out of hand, and just people can't afford it, right? Gaming is a luxury or an entertainment item for everybody. As much as we say it's a need, if push comes to shove, it's probably going to be one of the first things that get cut, and we'll drop down to one of these people that buy one or fewer games a year. But it could also be a few other things that we'll kind of get into. So it talks about the new data shows that over 60% of gamers in the US purchase only 2 or few games a year. In fact, only 4% of gamers buy a new game more often than once a month. So it says why it matters: as more games continue to release, it becomes harder for consumers to decide between buying something new or sticking with what they already own. So it's got some Circana data in here. According to Circana's Q3 2020 futures of games, only 4% of U.S. video game players buy a new game more often than once per month, with a third of players not buying new games at all, buying any new games at all. So yeah, I think you see that there's 4% buy more than once a month, 10% buy about once a month, 22% once every 3 months, 18% about every 6 months, 12% once a year, and 33% less often than once a year. So you can kind of see all this stuff in the article. If you go out to the Tech for Gamers article and kind of look this over, and they talk about combining all this. But I think the thing to take away here is how many gamers are buying what, percentage, right? So I'll go ahead and stop sharing this article, and we can get into it, because I really, all we really need is those basic details, and we don't have to worry about the rest of that. So one of the things that I will point out that I think is kind of up there is, did they take into consideration like how many people are paying a subscription, right? How many people are in a subscription plan for gaming? Because that does skew the numbers, right? If somebody's always paying for PlayStation Premium Plus, whatever, they may not need to buy a game often. If they're paying for Game Pass, they don't buy a game often, because a lot of the games are coming out day one. And then, if you got Switch and you're playing with their Nintendo subscription plan, you may or may not. And I don't know if they took into consideration all platforms or whatever, but just talks about generally of video games overall. I think that subscriptions probably are hindering that number a little bit. I don't know how much, because really, if you're paying a subscription, you're buying the game. But I think a lot of it comes down to I feel, me personally, and I don't know, Nick, you can kind of answer this when I come over to you, but I play less games, I feel, because of the cost and things like that than what I used to. I remember when we first started doing this podcast and gaming reviews, dude, I'm buying a game a week sometimes, when we were doing stuff. And then sometimes Game Pass, there would be a game on Game Pass, so I'd be good. But I think more often than not, when we first started doing this up until probably a year, maybe 2 years ago, I was buying at least a game a month, at least, even with a Game Pass subscription, right? Because newest stuff wasn't always on Game Pass because it wasn't a Microsoft until they did that $65 billion deal. They weren't getting some of the greatest. They're getting some cool little indie titles and things like that I never heard of, but like the major titles weren't on Game Pass. So I was still buying that. And I could probably say this year, here we are in October, I probably bought less than 4 games this year at release. I'll say at release. Because a Steam sale will come along, and that's when I try to stock up, is when a Steam sale comes along. I have a running tally list of games that I want to play, and then I rank them, and this is how I decide on what I'm going to buy. I rank them. I'm like, okay, here's what's coming up. Here's what's out. Here's my ranking. And I rank them based off of buy at release, buy on sale, and then my buy on sale is even ranked of how big of a discount do I need this game to be before I buy it? And then I have a list. That's how I do it. I'm like, hey, this game needs to be 50% off, 30% off, 20% off before I'll consider it. Right. And then just because it goes on sale doesn't mean I'll buy it, because it may hit my number, but it may have came in at a time where I am right at the end of a paycheck, right, or something, and I'm like, I can't really afford this, so I won't be getting it, and the sale will be over by the time I get paid again or have extra money, to throw away, because it is disposable income that I spend on games, not like necessity income, as much as I would love to. So, but I'll kind of turn this over to Nick, because Nick probably plays more games than Shane and I do by a long shot. Because Nick plays everything. Myself and Shane included is a little bit more picky. I am probably a little bit more picky than both of them, just because I want to play the new stuff. I don't go back to the nostalgia. I'm not a huge platformer. I'm not a sports guy fan. These guys aren't sports gamers, but I'm also usually not big into like the big FPSs that are multiplayer and things like that, like these guys are. So they always played a little bit more than I have, but I feel that I have scaled way down in the last couple of years, just because inflation's kind of hit. I mean, I am lucky enough to own my own, to buy a house. I have a house, don't rent. We have vehicles, everything. We have those things, but at the same time, my power as buying power has shrunk because of inflation. Groceries are more expensive, so my pay has not really increased a whole lot. Obviously, if you just stick in a place for a long time, your pay doesn't overcome inflation, so you stagnate and you get smaller. And if you I'm at that age in my technical career where I don't like moving around a lot. When I was younger, I'm like, I got to chase that money. So every 2 years I'm hopping jobs. And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that anymore. I'm just getting older. Don't want to do that. I want to get in a place in a career where I'm comfortable with the amount of money I bring in versus the amount of work I have to do versus how comfortable I can live. So Nick, how do you feel, man? Do you feel like you play less games than you used to? And if so, why?
Yeah, I think especially this year, more so than most. I mean, I don't get me, I've bought in quite a few games this year, but I'm probably in that about once a month percentage. I definitely don't buy more than once a month typically. Usually, and it may not be necessarily once a month, but I guess it says about once a month. So
which averages once a month, right? You may buy 2 in 1 month and then not any for a month or 2, right?
Right. So I probably am in that 10% of the percentage of people. But yeah, I mean, mine's gone. My buying. I mean, there's a lot of games that I have that I want to purchase. And I just haven't, right? I mean, I don't even have Ghost of Yotai, and I was really looking forward to that game. I don't even have it yet. And that's just because for the same reason, right? Things are just too expensive now. I mean, like inflation and the cost of things have gotten so high that, you know, before we could buy games kind of like when we did, you know, but now I feel like, yeah, I could get a game once in a while. You know, I can grab one, but like I got to pick and choose now, like what I grab and what I buy. You know, I got Battlefield 6. And that one just recently came out. But I mean, I bought that like months ago, right? I pre-ordered that when it pre-orders first came out, right? So that was months ago. So, you know, I didn't buy that just recently. But since Silent Hill F, which came out not too long ago, that came out like the end of September, I believe. So I think that was the last game I bought full price. I have bought in some other games, but they were not expensive games. They were indie games that were, you know, and those are usually like $10 or whatever. You know, I bought a couple of indie games that were super cheap when they came out. I think they were like $10 or $11. So, but as far as a high price game, you know, I think Silent Hill F was the last one I had bought, and then from there, you know, I don't know. It's been a couple months before I'd gotten anything. I guess may have been like Donkey Kong Bonanza, which came out in July, might be the last one big purchase game that I'd bought before that.
So yeah, you're in that 10%. I feel like I'm in the 22nd percent about once every 3 months. You know, I'm buying something, but I don't know how they will. I don't know how they rank that. Like, do they actually rank games that you buy that are on sale? Because I mean, when the Steam sales come along, I try to grab like 2 or 3. You know, Steam has 3 sales a year now. It used to be like 1, and then it became 2, and now I think they did 3.
Right.
You know, so. But I didn't buy anything for the last Steam sale. There was just nothing on there.
There wasn't.
Well, actually, no, that's not true. I bought Civ 7, which was a mistake. I disliked the game.
Yeah.
Which I'm so sad about. I love Civilization, but I bought that one and I'm sad. It was a waste of my money, even on sale. I feel like it was a waste of my money.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. The autumn sale was the last one that just happened. I didn't buy anything from that sale. Yeah. I just didn't see anything on there, especially discount wise, right? Like anymore, I feel like most of the time I do look for a pretty good discount. Like even Silent Hill F, I got that on a discount because CD Keys, formerly CD Keys, had, you know, even before the game comes out, they usually have a key for it that's like 10% off or whatever. So you get like $5 off the game, or maybe even $10 off the game, depending on the game. So, and depending on what they have. So it's like, that's where mostly I buy it, because I'm like, okay, cool. I can get the game I want for way cheaper than buying it full price. So, you know, full price game, like, yeah, I think Donkey Kong Bonanza was the last one I bought that was a full price game, right? All the other ones I got off. I even this Battlefield 6 I got off CD Keys, and it was on sale too. So,
which is interesting because I'd say I hardly use CD Keys. I think they call it loaded now, right? Or something loaded. Like that. But you know, I mean, I hardly use CD Keys until the last couple of years, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it from these guys because they're offering a 30% discount and 10%. Or
their discounts are usually, most of the time, they're better. Not always. But I would say like 90% of the time, their discounts are better. If you found a game on Steam that's discounted, go check there first. Like, oh, I want this. You see it on Steam. You're like, I want this game. Go check like CD Keys or even Green Man Gaming. I've bought them from there before. And see what they're offering it for. Because most of the time you will find that CD Keys, or Loaded now, or Green Man Gaming is selling it for a much steeper discount than what you have on Steam. Right. Now, that's not always the case. I have seen it the other way around, where Steam's discount was much deeper, you know, than what they were offering. But most of the time, it's the other way around. So, and even new releases, like a lot of games that aren't out yet, they will offer pre-orders on there, and usually they are
10% or a little more?
10% off or something like that. So you can get some of the, like, if you're wanting some of the complete editions or the higher end editions that include the extra crap, you can usually get those for almost the same price as the regular version, right?
Yeah. Like the only thing you have to be careful when you're buying when CD keys are loaded now is that you can't refund them, right? Like if you buy through Steam, you have a little bit of a refund protection, or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's where I buy if I want to do a month of Game Pass, it's where I buy it from them because I'm not paying Microsoft's exorbitant prices.
Right. So I mean, like anymore, I feel like I'm, shopping around more than I used to. But yeah, I mean, I think for everybody out there, I think that's just the problem, right? I mean, there is several different scenarios, right? It is cost, economy, things like that. Also, they make a lot of games nowadays that are meant to live on forever, right? That's the whole live service model. And so the whole aspect of that is to get a player to play something like Call of Duty Warzone or, with Fortnite or whatever. And that's it, right? Dedicated to that one live service, and that's all they play. And so you do have a huge assortment of gamers out there that only play one game or one type of game, right? I mean, you have those sports guys out there that only play Madden or only play,
some 2K game, 2K sports.
Yeah, or basketball or
hockey
or hockey or whatever, or FIFA, and that's all they play. Like that's it. They might buy every version of it, but they're like the once a year person because they buy the new, FIFA 2026 version or Madden 26 version or whatever. And then they don't buy anything else until Madden 27 comes out, right? You even have that with like some guys who like wrestling, they'll buy like the WWE games and that's all they play, right? And then you have the guys that buy, that are just Call of Dutyers. And they'll buy the new Call of Duty, which comes out once a year. So they're, again, a part of that once a year crowd, right? I think there's a lot. That's another thing about gamers is if you think about it, I bet you there's a higher percentage of those that are, I would say like people like us who are gamers that play a lot of different games that are like just, infatuated with gaming, I think is a smaller percentage, right? I find like those that are like deep in it, like we are a smaller percentage overall, right? I'm not saying that percentage is not a good amount of gamers or a good amount of people, but considering the amount, right, and whatever that amount is, I would say that we're in the minority of that pool, right? Where most gamers are more, especially nowadays, most gamers are more casual, right? And they don't buy a lot of games, right? They're not looking forward to the next Dark Souls or, whatever game comes out, right? They're not that deep into it. They know the big titles, Assassin's Creed or something like that, and they're looking forward to those, or Far Cry, all those big games that everybody knows about, right? But they're not looking for anything else or interested in anything else. Which is fine. I mean, you have people like that, but that also dips into it. The 4% more than once a month, that's insane. But is that like, I guess they say new video game purchase. So I'm assuming that's, of course not. I don't know if I'm assuming that means full price.
I mean, I just assume that's any game, right? That's being bought. That's why I'm a little bit torn on this because I can't tell. Like, I wanted to look at the static.
Well, it says purchase how often do you typically purchase a new game? I guess it depends on what people consider new, right? Yeah, it's new to you. It's not necessarily a new, like, just came out today type of game,
right? So, which even being able to see that news article that you came across tells you that you're in the top grouping of gamers, right? Because I guarantee you most people aren't getting game news fed to them,
right?
That are, the top 14% probably are, but the lower people aren't, so
yeah.
I know that they said that the information came from Circana, but I'd like to see what they were polling the data from.
Right. And how many people they polled too, right?
Right. Like, where did the data come from? So
And that's the thing about polling, is the amount of people that are polled, where that polling is coming from, how that poll was conducted,
right.
and especially with the kind of like we were talking about with the sentence of how many, it was looked like it was basically brought to approximate, or the question was, how often do you typically purchase a new game? Which again, would people think, okay, new game as in new just came out, fresh out of the press, or new to me, right? Because if I bought a game, even though if it's an old game, and my buddy's like, hey, what have you been doing? I'm like, nothing. I bought a new game.
Right.
And like, oh, what'd you get? Oh, I got Resident Evil 8. Well, that was out like 3 years ago. Well, I have played it, but in this scenario, I've never played it. So it's new to me, and if I were to talk to my friends, you guys, Shane and Patrick and stuff, I would say I bought a new game,
right.
Even if the game was, 5 years old or something, right? Because it is new. It's new to me.
Right.
Even though it's not technically new. So yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, like, what they mean by that. That's the thing that sucks about surveys.
Yeah, I tried to get to the Circana, the site for Circana, but man, a lot of that stuff is locked behind paywalls and stuff. And I'm just like, I want to see where this article. I want more data on this article, right? Well, I want to see like where they pulled their data from, all that kind of stuff. So it's like video game purchasing frequency, and so I don't know.
Yeah, it's still an interesting survey, though.
Yeah, I mean, I find it hard to believe that 14% of the gaming population is keeping gaming alive or keeping them moving forward. I mean, I don't know. Because like I have reached that phase of my life where I'm a sale purchaser for probably 90% of what I buy anymore. And then I will wait for a sale for just about anything, even something that I really, really want to play. Like I really wanted to play Civ 7, and I'm like, okay, do I wait? And obviously I waited until now, which
right.
I'm a huge Civilization fan. And I waited until now, which, what is that? 8 months after it released or whatever to get it. And so, but part of me was like, okay, I like it, but is it worth the price that they're asking for it? And I also heard bad reviews on it, right? It was getting bad reviews. And I'm like, okay, is it just people who aren't huge fans or whatever? And so I bit the bullet when it was on sale. I don't remember if it was 40% off or 50%. I can't remember what I got it for. I got it for pretty cheap. I can't remember if it was 40 or 35 or whatever. But I got it, and I'm disappointed in it. So I don't know. And then so I bought that, but did they consider that a new buy a new game because it was new to me, but it's been out for a long time, and I bought it on sale. And then I've also bought Ghost of Yotei this, because I really want to play that one. So. So I don't know. I'd like to know where their data is. Like I tried to go to the Circana page, but I couldn't find the actual resource. But I didn't spend a whole lot of time looking at it. Right. So, it's probably locked behind some paywall or who knows what.
So, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's hard to know, but I mean, it's an interesting survey nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So it's just very vague. How often do you typically purchase a new game?
Yeah.
So, but I mean, to me, that says, I could be in the 4% or the 10% if it means even used games, because sometimes, like, not in the autumn sale, but mostly in the Steam winter sale and the summer sale, I do buy more games, but I'm buying games that were like $60 at one time for $10 to $20, right?
Right.
That's what I'm doing, and I'll get into some of this stuff that I've never, or I'll take a risk on a $5 game. I'm like, I kind of like that, that I think that's what got me into like Citizen Sleeper the first time around. I'm like, oh, this game's only $5 or something, and I'm like, let me go ahead, and I absolutely love it. And then when they came out with Citizen Sleeper 2, I bought that one at full price because I just had to get it,
Yeah.
Leads you into other games that are that genre. So, but I don't know. So if it's used games at a discount, I'm probably in the the 10 or 4% because I buy a lot of sale games at the summer and winter to keep me afloat throughout the year.
Right.
So maybe I am in the 10%, the once a month on average, if we look at the Steam sale. It's not brand new. So I don't know. Maybe not. It's hard to tell. So I can't really tell you where I'm at. But if they're talking like brand new game day one, I'm in the 22% one. Probably 3 or 4 times a year where I'm at right now.
Brand new off the presses. I'm definitely in the 22% as well.
Yeah.
Because like full price games, I hardly ever buy full price.
Yeah, but I mean day one. When I even talk full price, like day one release,
one.
like you're probably in the 10%. I would say.
Yeah, well, I think I'm kind of in the center of both of those.
Yeah, I mean maybe because if we look at it, you got Battle. If we just look at the last 3 months, you've gotten 3 games, right? You've gotten Battlefield, even though it's a pre-order. You've
Battlefield,
gotten Donkey Kong,
F, and Donkey Kong.
Right. So, So I mean, it is what it is. I don't think the majority of the gamers are where we are and how much we purchase and play.
Sure.
But I don't think that we are like top tier. I don't think that we're in the 4%. I mean, I don't know if I'm in the 4%. I don't think, especially if it's new games, I'm definitely not in the 4%.
No.
If it's games overall,
if I had, if money wasn't an object type thing,
I'd be in that.
I'd be in the 4%, right? Because
I
already have a list of games. I mean, my Steam wish list is like 200 and some odd games in that wish list. So
Yep. And I would probably say mine's probably close to the same. And 25% of those are games that are released that that are, if we count early access, it's probably more like 50% of those games are released that I want. But some of them are just like future titles that I want to keep track of, that are coming out. But my Steam wish list is huge, and it's just like I'm waiting on sales for all those. So
yeah, same. I'm waiting for them to go a little bit cheaper on price because they're a little too expensive.
Mm-hmm. So,
and I think one last thing is I do think the amount of games that come out, especially if you're like a huge gamer that does play a lot of variety of games, if you're a person that sticks with a certain genre, then you're not going to be overloaded by, not necessarily overloaded by game fatigue, right?
Yeah.
But if you're a variety gamer, like we all are, right? And not everybody plays everything, but we all play a huge variety of games. So there's our want, as far as what games we want, is a much larger selection than like a game, than a gamer that's more streamlined with a certain type of genre or certain types of games, right? We like all sorts of different kinds of games. So we'll see like 5-10 games coming out that we're like, I want those. I want to play all those. And then they just go on the wish list, because that's why our wish lists are so huge, because these are games that we do want to play because we are variety gamers.
Yep. Play a lot of different things, and that's how you get into there. But yeah, I mean, that's our hobby, right? That's our unwind. And, as life, I mean, it's funny as I think about it, I'm like, I remember when I was younger, I'm like, my retirement plan is to just, have a game collection, live with my friends and hang out. And now I'm like, I don't know if that's going to sustain me. I probably won't be able to afford that in retirement.
By the time we retire, we probably won't even be able to retire.
No, probably won't be able to retire. They're going to keep increasing the age, to where it's like, oh, you can retire 1 year before the expected life
expiration date.
Your expiration date as a male in this country. Be like, oh, you can retire. You're decrepit and old and can't do anything your last year of life. You can't even pick up a controller.
You can just sit in that recliner and shit on yourself till you're dead.
Maybe by the time we get that old, they'll have like the existence pods or the surrogate pods where I can just hop in there and play games, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. What do you feel like? First thing I would like to know is, how do you read that ask? Is it new? How often do you typically purchase a new game? Do you think that's asking how often you purchase like a day one game, a game that just came out, or a game that's new to you? And then however you answer that, where do you think you fall in that chart? Like I said, 4% for more than more than once a month, 10% for once a month, 22% about every 3 months. The article got really, really small on me for whatever reason all of a sudden. And then, it's 18% about every 6 months, 12% about once a year, and 33% of less often than once a year. Where do you fall in that list, and let us know down in the comments. And one last request, if you have not subscribed and you have no reason not to, you just finished watching a whole episode. It was a half an hour long. So why not subscribe, help us out, get more subscribers so we can keep doing what we do. And we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to get you the next one.